rolling. Right the fuck on. I've been waiting to do this film for a while. I'm going to just say it right up front. I'm doing the Blues Brothers. I have been fucking busy as fuck and exhausted in the middle. And I just am like fucking, I am trying to keep up on these and make sure that I keep doing them. Cause they're nice. It's fun to actually like chat and listen to myself talk, which is, I don't know. Maybe you guys enjoy it. Probably not, but fuck it. I do enjoy these. And, I want to watch one just for me. And I did that with Repo Man, I guess. But this is one that it's such a good movie, and there's so much to fucking unpack. It satiates a lot of things for me. It's one of the few musicals that I can tolerate. Get the fuck out of here, whatever the Key and Peele dude. That's like, so here's my qualm with musicals. Musicals are fine. As Trey and Matt from South Park have proved, musicals can be fucking amazing, and you don't need like it to be over the top theatrical for you to have a sufficient musical. This is a great example of that. You don't need to force it, and when you do force it, it comes off very awkward and like not organic to what you're watching. Like I said, there's like a student film trope that kind of is when you create more of a music video, like you really just dig a song and you think it'd be cool set to like certain scenery that you kind of like envisioned in your head, like probably your drive to work or something because you're a broke ass student. But yeah, like you can't just like make an entire film around you liking one song. It really comes off as like cheap and very extremely cliche. This is not an example of that. This is an entirely original concept that it encapsulates all of this very niche but ultimately popular music from like the 1960s to the 1980s, and it's fantastic. It's one of the greatest fucking films ever. It's a legitimately fucking well-made movie. It stars a lot of people from the time. It's Aykroyd and Belushi obviously as the Blues Brothers. You got John Candy as the sheriff, who's great. You got Mr. Leakey from Biodome. He's the Nazi guy. Carrie Fisher's in this film, and then there's like all these fucking people that are in the movie. Like the band that they're in is apparently like some of I think fucking Green Onions. Why the fuck Booker T and the MGs. Apparently the band is like a bunch of people from that band, and there's like a lot of shit that I'm gonna get into on the other end of this. But one of the main reasons why I am watching this film is because someone in a film group on Facebook, and I try not to get like petty about this shit. Like I'm a very petty person. I use Facebook for my own amusement, mostly just picking fights with people about grammar and like dumb shit and seeing how fucking riled up I can get them. And like I do it for sport. It's fun. It entertains me getting other people incredibly upset and then just turning my phone off for like 2 days and then completely forgetting that I did it, coming back into a shitstorm or like being banned or some shit. So yeah, it's fun to do like that. But like I did get into it with someone. They claimed that they rewatched this film after a long hiatus. And that upon reviewing it, they found this to be cultural appropriation. Like, normally I reserve that button for myself, but like, how fucking dumb are you that you can consider this to be a film that's like a cultural appropriation of fucking what? Music? I mean, it's blues music. It's the Blues Brothers. Yeah, obviously it's like a heavily black influenced fucking style of music. But that being said, do you not think that other people perform blues music that weren't just like black people from the South? Dude, it's a very popular style of music. So let's just get right into it too. I don't believe in the notion that cultural appropriation is like a thing. If you appreciate something, regardless of where it came from, you should focus on the fact that people enjoy it, and you could take that to be a positive light of that culture. culture. Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna give myself one of those just because I got tongue tied. But no, like it's like a piece of your culture is appreciated by other people. Like I'm Italian and I'm Russian. Italian. I'm the product of Italian immigrants that moved here and started a restaurant after my grandfather served in World War II. Yeah, stereotypical thing, but ultimately, like, people love our cooking. We're very good at making food. It's not a bad stereotype to have. Like, yeah, spaghetti might be stolen from the fucking Chinese, whatever. But that being said, pizza's, pretty organic to fucking Italian immigrants. I don't know. Regardless of where it came from, we're known for it. And it's like, I embrace that shit. It sucks sometimes that, like, everybody's like, hey, what do you think, you're in the mob or something? It's like, yeah, I got some sketchy uncles, but, like, who the fuck cares? It's like, just, like, if you and because of that, like, I'm not saying that it owns me or it consumes me or anything, but I do like how, like, The Godfather, there's something like inherently, like The Sopranos, you got this kind of like Italian disposition. You watch a Martin Scorsese movie and it hits me in this way where I'm like, hey, like, I get that. I mean, you grow up in Jersey, the offspring of Italian and I guess Russian, Eastern Europeans, like, you get a weird modge podge of things. Like, my mom taught me how to read, and then I think I got my iron liver from her, but, like, holy shit, that I had to slow down in the last couple of years. Fucking liver's gonna fucking croak on me if I keep drinking like I used to. But I think that's just with age. Turning 30 gets you there. But anyway, back to cultural appropriation. You should see, like, even the negative aspects, like Slavs, kind of fucking shitty people, seem like thieves, seem like gypsies, perceived as criminals. I still embrace it. I find that to be, like, a very interesting facet of my fucking culture. I don't care that it's got, like, a negative connotation to certain people. I respect it. I appreciate that it's, like, something that's a part of me. So, like, I don't know. Anytime I hear that fucking expression, it kind of resonates with me because, like, so much of who I am as, like, an Italian, Russian American is, the things that my cultures are known for. And if people didn't like that, I mean, it'd be no skin off my nose. But the fact that people embrace and, like, enjoy it, you think I care that a fucking Japanese guy did an impression of an Italian to make Mario? No, everybody fucking loves Mario. Who the fuck cares where it came from? Who the fuck cares what took what from who? As long as it's being appreciated and nobody's getting their head caved in over it, it seems like we can all get along. So, the Blues Brothers, for example, fucking phenomenal movie. It's like, you don't get hung up on the fact that it's got ideas you might not like. It's got some very heavy-handed themes, like orphans. They're orphans. Jake and Elwood. Yeah, Elwood. Yeah. They're orphans and they're taken in by the church, which ultimately does nothing, and it leads them to recidivism. That's a very heavy-handed concept, but it's done in a way where it's eloquent and funny and poignant without having to rely on, turning it into a guilt trip. Kind of the way these cycles of these blues musicians kind of like existed. A lot of them were incarcerated for a lot, and for the color of their skin a lot of the times. But see, just because you appreciate the culture doesn't mean you can't fall into the rhythm of it. I wouldn't call that racist. I would just call that appreciating something or embracing the lifestyle. It doesn't matter where it came from, as long as you're a part of it and you understand full well what you're doing. Like, that's just it. And that's the funny of it. That's the I don't care that this wouldn't get made these days. It's funny and it's a great fucking well thought out movie. I'll explain on the other end one of the smartest gags I think in cinema, and it's like a toss up between this and the fucking airplane wearing a yarmulke in Airplane. But I love how well thought out yet subtle this running gag is in this film. And, like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this in one sitting because I'm very tired, and this is like a 3.5 hour movie, but it's worth every fucking minute, and I will make sure that this gets done. But I want to savor this one. I feel like you guys deserve me getting fired up about something random and, like, interesting. And I could talk all fucking day about this movie, and I intend to. I might even run a little bit long on the end on this, just because it's such a good fucking movie. Yeah, I'm pretty much there. I got 20 seconds. All right, yeah. So, something to look out for. look out for the cameos. Fuck it. I don't mind a star-studded cast, like I said, if they're just used appropriately. Yeah, but see who you notice in this film. I always try to get it off the top of my head. I usually miss a person or two. But anyway, without further ado, we are watching The Blues Brothers. Blues Brothers. Man, that's a good movie. That is such a good fucking movie. Alright, let's just get right the fuck into it. I am extremely tired, and it took me 2 fucking days to do this one. Somehow, I ended up taking longer than I expected, and I'm still even more exhausted on the other side than I am now. Than I was. What the fuck am I even talking about? I just rang my fucking bell. I got a new strain of weed, and I tried it, and yeah, it put me on my fucking ass. So, this is going to be a struggle. Let's try and stay focused here. Blues Brothers. Yeah, so this film was written by Dan Aykroyd and John Landis. If you know anything about John Landis, he's the guy that killed a bunch of people in the Twilight Zone movie. But all that aside, yeah, he's really he's good at keeping Dan Aykroyd on point. Dan Aykroyd is a crazy person, and I love him because he writes crazy movies, and I appreciate his style of writing, his sense of humor, his just the general fact that he's a psychotic vodka-selling UFO chaser, and I love him, and he has a passion for filmmaking, and not only passion for it, he excels at it. He excels at writing, too. I heard on Red Letter Media about how he was fucking like turning in 600 fucking page scripts and whatnot, and that's like, that blows my mind. Like that's just how he operates. Like, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret about me. I wrote, out of boredom, an entire season of a sitcom about the place I work at, and yeah, I mean, I'm embarrassed about it. Like, I'm a little cheeky, but I want it to be read, and I at least want to, like, give it a chance. But, you know, that thing is, like, it took me a while to do that. And it's still just in its first draft. I have yet to go back and read it again. It's going to need a lot of work, and it's got to do that. Dan Aykroyd just craps stuff like this out. This movie was like 3 hours long, and it had musical numbers. It had well orchestrated, choreographed scenes of like the end. The last half hour of this film must have cost like $5 million on the conservative end, just to orchestrate all of that and shut it down, and then like probably I'd double that for what it cost in like repairs to shit. But yeah, like. I cannot express how just good this movie is, and it's like it shows. Now, I always am a stickler about the fucking writing and whatnot, but here is a really good fucking example of writing coming full circle. You don't always have to apply Campbell to this shit, but like it really does help to kind of have a mild understanding of the hero's journey. And this isn't that podcast. Like, I'm not going to be fucking talking about this shit. Like, it's like, you know, the fucking only way that you should be, like, digesting any source of media is if it, like, shut the fuck up. Everybody has their own way of telling stories. Quentin Tarantino wouldn't function the way he does if it was for conventional storytelling. So, like, shut up and just, like, let people do what they want. This story, however, not only abides by it, but there's so much going on that it is, like, kind of like an atom, in a sense. Like, there's so like a lot of moving parts. There's a nucleus, like this core focus of the film, that they're on a mission from God to save the orphanage that they grew up at, and it never strays from that. It never strays too far from that. It goes many fucking places, but it never loses the focus of that. And that being the pure motivating factor for this movie. And in doing so, you get these two just like outright affable characters that no matter, like, even if you find them deplorable, they're still cheeky enough where you're like, how can you not love this duo? Like, Aykroyd being completely serious, and like they both play it so fucking serious too that like I can't deal with it. It's fucking hilarious. But yeah, back to the story arc. Like there's like so many moving parts, but like there's this like core story that starts with prison and ends with prison, and there's a lot of stuff in between. But then there's also this core story of like them starting in Chicago and then them ending in Chicago, and then there's like this other like core story of them like, you know, like I guess like having women troubles and then women troubles like kind of just like them, much like everything else, just bumbling through it, but like they end up like there's this like subplot of Carrie Fisher trying to kill Belushi. It makes like no sense until like the end, and it just like turns out she was like someone that he knew, and you know, it just kind of ends abruptly. But it still ends. It's like the dumbest payoff, but it's so well done. It is perfect. So yeah, like so they start and end in kind of the same place. There's like but and they don't grow, which like is kind of why story's even funnier that they take the entire hero's journey. You know, there's like the call to action. They need to raise the money. Fuck, I can't remember all this shit off the top of my head. I'm fucking way too high to be talking about Campbell like with zero research. I'm just thinking about all these gags and shit too. But nah, like they do. They're like they hit all the points. Trust me on this. I know I'm not gonna do any justice. Just believe me, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, these so like you get like all the fucking like you get all the story arc. That's beautiful about it. It's so perfect too. And I'm sure because it was Aykroyd writing this, it probably had to be toned down from like much longer shit. Like I kind of am convinced the bridge jump thing in the beginning was like they just shot a bunch of the cop car shit and they like didn't have a scene like that connected correctly to that bridge jump for whatever reason. I kind of just think they included it in there. And like it was just a weird, funny thing to do in the beginning. But yeah, like I like yeah, like all right, let's get into the characters because like that's like a big part of this, and I don't want to waste any more time on stuff like culminating to the last 30 minutes like I said I'm going to get to. So I'm going to spend like 3 minutes talking about this, and then we're going to talk about the best part of this movie because it needs to be discussed, and it's like something that if it's not appreciated, then I would be very unhappy. But yeah, the characters they chose in this movie are great. You get these two straight-laced white dudes that are very like easy to identify with. They're just nerds that appreciate music. You know, it doesn't matter really the color of your skin, but it's just supposed to be these like two everymen that have this really weird niche thing that they're passionate about and they're good at too, as seen by them selling out a theater of 5,000 person theater in one night, which like, you know, is impressive. So you get these two everymen, and then you get like this cast of characters that's like, you know, very well-known musicians that all comprise their band. Now, from what I understand, the reason that the band is in so much of the movie, I wouldn't call it unnecessarily, but they're in a lot of the movie. They're in the bulk of it. And like, apparently Belushi loved the music so much, like you know, every musician obviously that's by name in this film is like, you know, compensated and whatnot, but I think I'm fairly certain that the band has a lot of members from the Booker T and the MGs and probably other bands from the time too. But like I very distinctly remember that, and so Belushi wanted to make sure that these dudes were like getting paid because they probably weren't making enough on royalties or whatever at the time with the way the record industry was. So he like made sure that they got not only like long days of shooting where they were guaranteed overtime, but they got like, you know, musical royalties and like all this other shit. So whoever that fucker that said that like this is cultural appropriation, this man literally like took it upon himself to make sure that these guys can continue to make music and like focus on that, and money wasn't an issue. So go fuck your fucking self with that shit. And like that's part of the character too, is that like this isn't just like, oh, we trained Taylor Lautner to play an electric guitar. Woo, he's fucking Bruce Springsteen. That's not what we got here. You got people that are actually like very ingrained in like the zeitgeist of the story, like the diegetic realm that this film exists in, which is real life, but like, you know, it's very cartoonish and whatnot. Their purpose is like to be like basically you, regardless of who you are. It's not appropriation. It's just like appreciation of the shit. And like, I'm doing a really shitty job of driving this point home, but it was like something that really irked me. I don't fucking like to think of this as somebody like trying to make money off of ripping off someone's culture. That's not what this is. That exists blatantly in other facets. One could argue that one of my other favorite movies about music, I was gonna say Get Rich or Die Trying. That's the 50 Cent movie. That's not a really that good of a movie. Hustle and Flow. That's the film I'm thinking of. That's a really bad film. It is like so bad it's fucking brilliant. And I will gladly do one of these on Hustle and Flow in the near future. I gotta write that down and remember to do that. But like, that's like one of those things where that's an exploitative film for so many fucking reasons. And if you don't understand why I'm saying that, is like, I wouldn't even call it cultural appropriation. That's just like outright, I don't think that film is like respected for the right reasons, and it's not, from what I understand. It's not a very like well liked film, but it got made, and the fact that it exists means that like people think that way. This film was made with passion, and every fucking ounce of it you can see in the passion. It is like so high end, and it was like clearly so cared for by, you know, Aykroyd and John Landis directing it, and like I'm sure a lot of other Saturday Night Live members that I'm not familiar with from the 70s and 80s are like in there. But it clearly had this vision, and it manifested into something that I cannot fathom how big this film is too. So like, you know, money aside, all that other shit, let's talk about the end of this film. So pretty much you get like this nice journey for the first like 2/3 of the film. It's this really cool journey where you're having fun. There's musical numbers that are like extremely catchy and tolerable. Like I was at work today and I found myself humming the fucking "You Gotta Think" that Aretha Franklin song. The music in this is so good. Like, it doesn't even qualify as a musical. It's just like good original music, and it's like why you should always go for an original score. Hell, everybody knows some guy that plays a guitar. If you're like making a student film, instead of like buying some stock music that you're gonna be like, hey, I've heard this before, just get a friend of yours that's like musically inclined, show them a screening with no fucking post sound, obviously, like, I mean, just like post like musical stings or anything like that. Just give it to them like that and say like, hey, you know, you want to try this? They did it with Dead Man. Jim Jarmusch hired some fucking, I think it was Eddie Van Halen or whatever, to like sit and watch the film and just play the guitar where he felt applicable, and it worked fucking phenomenally. Do that, student filmmakers. Don't fucking try to be gimmicky and like, you know, be like, oh, I bought the $3,000 licensing rights to fight. You go fuck yourself. I don't know why I'm so angry on this one. Really high and actually like really giggly. Just getting real grumpy all of a sudden. But yeah, the high end production budget really shows in the last 30 or so minutes of this movie. This car chase, which, let's just point out the joke of it. There's a passing line, and this is like my favorite joke of the movie, and it makes the car chase that much higher. But it's something that if you haven't seen this movie or like really focused on it, you probably didn't like, you're not aware of this like situation. Like, you just kind of assume the end is like funny for what it is, which it fucking is. But like in the beginning, as soon as Elwood picks up Jake from prison, one of the things he says is, he's like, I sold the Bluesmobile, or I traded the Bluesmobile for a microphone. I bought this car at a police auction. So the implication there is that this dude goes to a police auction where the money that he buys this police car with probably goes towards new police cars or like some kind of police funding, that the end of this film like culminates in like easily millions of dollars worth of like property damage and like wrecked police cruisers, and just like the military gets mobilized, the National Guard is called in, the SWAT is there, like they're just wrecking shit and just fucking leaving a trail of carnage and the destruction. So it's funny to think that like they probably spent more money on the car than the police car was worth, but that money went towards exactly what they destroyed, like 5 million fold in the end, which is just like that much funnier when you like, and it's like it's so intentionally done, like knowing who Aykroyd is and like how his brain works. Like he clearly was thinking of like, oh, that's a great like punchline. I gotta add this in there. It just pays off so well. So they like literally shut down all of downtown Chicago to do this. Like I've never been to Chicago, but like you can just tell from the scope of things. This is a comedy movie, mind you. This is a movie that is supposed to be like a comedy, kind of like travel film, like I don't know, like Journey, but like at the same time, it's like principally a comedy movie, a comedy musical. I'll give you, but like I just find it funny that there is like a car chase that is on par with the French Connection, or like I'm trying to think of what that one movie with the bootleggers. I don't fucking know. I'm running out of steam here, but I'm trying. I can't even begin to say how cool it is that like they took it that seriously. And the best part is that there's like all these public places that they somehow got permission to like go into. Like they're driving Sherman tanks into downtown Chicago. Like it's there, and all these people were willing to come out and play the part, and like it's so fucking cool. Like you think of it in comparison to what it would be like nowadays. First off, this film was like, who's even going to joke? It's like not even a meme anymore. It's clearly it would never get made today. Oh, you're appropriating culture. Oh, you're being insensitive to disenfranchised homeless people. You think they can't fend for like all this fucking nonsense. We would prevent like a funny film like this from being made today. Is why films aren't funny anymore. You end up with films like Plan B, or whatever the fuck else is, like I've been trying to find a good comedy lately. I can't fucking find one. Everybody's walking on eggshells. Come on, make a good comedy movie. So, like, if this was that, they would just like, instead of even paying the extras, they probably just CGI it, or like, incorporate a zombie movie or some shit so they could fucking make like, they don't have to pay people scale for using their likeness. That's something I learned about in the industry. If you're in the Screen Actors Guild, you are a scumbag. This is a non-pro. I'm not going to say we're not pro-union. You were very pro-union for real unions, but the IATSE and the Screen Actors Guild are a fucking crock of shit. You guys basically are just a fucking swindle party, and you perpetuate a cycle of bad shit in Hollywood getting made because you don't fucking care. You just want to sit there and line your fucking pockets. And, after my experience in the fucking industry, it seems like it's a cesspool for nepotism and like, kind of back scratching. It's why you don't get good films. And it's like all these fucking weak, passionless people that just want to sit and feel important. You have to fucking do everything, and they're all of a sudden in charge of like what gets made. Like, fuck that. Fucking someone make an indie comedy. Somebody's got to come out of left field and break through. The last like genuinely funny movie I watched was like that came out recently. I want to say it was movie 43, just because it was something that I haven't seen before. Like it was this kind of like, I guess compare it to like a Zucker movie, like Kentucky Fried Movie, or it's like a string of vignettes. Kind of similar to like that one episode of The Simpsons. I don't fucking know. My brain's off. But like movie 43 at least tried, and like the passion was clearly there. They hired these big name actors to say horrific shit, and it was just like, it wasn't like jaw-droppingly bad or like vulgar, but the effort was there, and I like it. And it doesn't get enough credit for at least trying something as a comedy movie where it's like, yeah, we're going to be slapsticky and funny, but we're also going to get these like people that are very self-important and like self-indulgent and like hyper aware of their surroundings to say fucked up shit, and they're going to do it for money. And that's like kind of the joke of the film, because it exists in like a meta way too. Like the Blues Brothers exists in like a meta sense, just like because it knows that it's like cartoonish. But like I don't believe that the characters believe they're cartoonish. I believe the characters like in their realm believe that they're just, who they are. But I do believe that the universe takes itself a little lightheartedly. Like, there's people breaking out into song on the street. Kind of like fantastic car chases can happen where very minimal people are injured or killed. They can shoot guns. Like, I don't know. It's kind of a cartoony place. I wouldn't call it meta, but I would call it like at least self-aware, that where you kind of get that. The campiness is a great thing, and I just like I'm running out of time here. This movie is fucking awesome, and I just want to point out all those really cool things about it. I know there's a Blues Brothers 2000. I'm not watching that. Nor am I gonna try and go probably down any further with Dan Aykroyd for at least a little while. But I will come out with something hopefully entertaining. Thank you for listening. Please go out and watch buy the Blu-ray. This fucking movie rules. I bought it on Blu-ray myself. I got the hard case. Pick up the Blues Brothers. Thank you.